We're going to have a look at the kanji on page 33, and the first one is a very important one. It's the kanji for famous. You may, to exist, and then name as in reputation sort of name. Put it together and you get you may, pronounced you may. It's a na adjective, so don't forget to put the na after this word if you're using it preceding a noun. Let's have a look at the two kanji. The first one, you, it's down here, and that actually means to exist. Let's see what its origins were. If we have a look now at the etymology, we can see we're back here now to the oracle characters, and it starts off as just being a right hand. As we move towards the bronze characters, about 3,000 years old, we can see clearly there's that right hand thing. It looks a bit like a claw, doesn't it? But underneath there's that classic shape there that almost looks like a moon, but actually it's a piece of meat. So it's a right hand holding a piece of meat. And then if we just move up a little, we can see that 2,000 years ago it's sort of formalized into this right hand picture, and you can clearly see underneath that piece of meat. This is now the standardized form from 2,000 years ago, a right hand with a piece of meat, and it's holding that piece of meat. So it means to possess, and by extension it means something exists because you possess it. If you have a look over here to the modern form, you can see the hand has switched from the right to the left, but there's still that classic meat element there. So to hold a piece of meat, to possess, to exist. And then we've got here may. Over here the core meaning of this is name or reputation. So if you have a name, you're famous. You may. And let's go and have a look at the two parts of that, and it's kakijun. This one started off live as a moon and a mouth, and you can very clearly see the ancient oracle characters there, nearly 4,000 years old, with the moon and the mouth. As they progress, you can see still quite clearly the moon and the mouth, and as we go up to modern times, it's still there, and then it comes up here and you can see that moon and that mouth. It hasn't changed a lot. If you go over here and have a look at the modern one, you can still see those two. Now when you went out at night, if you were challenged, you had to identify yourself. So that's why they've got the moon, and then you use your mouth to say, I'm so-and-so, I'm Jun-mun, don't shoot me. So by the light of the moon, you had to use your mouth to say your name, to protect yourself and to identify yourself. Let's check out the kakijun. And here we go. We've got this moon character here, ichi, crossing down all in one, ni, san. Now that's a picture of a moon, but it's also the exact same shape as the katakana ta. So you've got ta followed by the mouth underneath here. Ichi, ni, san, left to right. And that could be read katakana. If it were two separate katakana letters, it could be read taro, taro. So if you just remember someone's name as being taro, taro, that can help you remember the kanji for name. Put the two together, you've got yume, yume, famous, a na adjective. Let's go down and have a look at the next word. Again, this is quite complicated, and it's the word for a trip or travel. The first kanji here, ryo, ryo, comes from this one over here, whose core meaning is trip or travel, and then you add the kanji for to go, ko, and you get ryoko. There's the pronunciation, ryoko, a trip or a journey. Let's have a look at the first character a little more closely. This kanji for to travel has got a very long and documented history. We're here in the oracle bone characters, and you can see here quite clearly that it's two men, and then that thing there is a flag. Now if we move up, you can see the two men all the way through, quite clearly distinguishable. As we move here towards the characters that are more towards the 3,000 years old, those are the characters that we call the bronze characters. You can still see here the two men, but it does get awfully complicated, this flag gadget here. It's not really much use as far as I'm concerned. Then we get to 2,000 years ago, the seal characters, and again you can see the two men quite clearly there. Look, there are the two guys, the two men, the two men, the two men. And then finally this is the formalized version, so there were the two men and there's the flag, and that's what it looks like today. But I've got an easier way to remember it. Let's have a look at the kakijun and what the different elements are. On the left, we've got this element here, ichi, ni, san, all the way around, and shi. Now that means direction, and to me it looks like someone sprinting along in that direction. I can just see that thing hurrying along towards there, so it looks like it's going very quickly in that direction. So that's easy for me to remember. Get rid of that arrow. Then we've got here actually the two men, because these days when we do take the character for person that looks like that and then we put it on the top of a character, it actually does take this shape here, so that becomes a person. Then we've got actually the way that this character is modified when it becomes a left element of a kanji. So here it is, ichi, ni. So in fact, quite clearly here we've got the two men still. So ichi, ni, that's the guy there, and ichi, ni, that's the guy there. And then we've got one leg, two legs. So you put one foot after the other when you're traveling. So you're scooting along in that direction, one man, another man, one foot after the other, and there is to travel. So that's our ryo part of ryoko, and of course ko is just the character to go, and you already know that. So you put the two together, ryoko, traveling and going, that's a trip, ryoko, and you use that with shimasu. It's actually a noun, ryoko, but if you add shimasu it becomes to travel, ryoko shimasu. Nihon ni ryoko shimasu, to travel to Japan.